This is the
the first recording after we released.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Correct.
So that one.
What do you have for us today?
Which my wife got me a shirt just for it. Bright pink. Look at that. I heart Williamson County librarians. School librarians.
If you didn't know what your wife did.
Yeah, I mean, she just thinks that I heart librarians. That's what she's bought it for me. No, today, so Benchmark is kind of my go-to mixer.
Okay.
Bourbon. I like it. I like it as a sipper, but it's cheap. So if someone comes over and they want to put Coke in it, I don't care. You're not going to get my good stuff. So they recently came out with, and I'm relatively new to bourbon. Maybe they've done this before, but they just came out with some small batch, bonded, foolproof, a bunch of different ones. Cool. And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of do a vertical flight, like you would do with beer. So probably start with the original.
Yeah.
Go from there.
I've never had Benchmark. Have you?
I don't think so.
I may have had a little bit of that one, so I got a second one here for us. But I think this bottle's like $11.
Okay.
Oh,
jeez.
Yeah,
Is that glass?
Yeah. I mean, it's not even plastic. So yeah, I like it. I like it for that sort of stuff. Or if you're gonna do like sometimes they'll sell those infuser kits for like infuse oranges in your bourbon. Well, I don't want to do that with a good one. I get the good bourbon because I like the good bourbon. So I'll do that with this.
While you pour, I'm gonna put this in that freezer.
Oh yeah. Because
we have for freezer. What's the word? Oh, it's a screw top. That's why.
Yeah, no, it's just it's not a cork or nothing like the other ones. So your pour is as big as ours, but we got cubes in ours. But
love it.
I didn't want to have that little bit left over. What the fuck?
No, just smell.
Cheers.
To the Suburban Dads.
Suburban Dads on a school night.
No, I'll say cheers to the reception we've gotten so far.
True.
I'm telling you, I was
blown away.
Again, very low expectations and didn't expect anybody to watch it. Don't care to this day if anybody watches because we're doing it anyway. But not just the total views, but a lot of love, a lot of just like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I want to be a part of it. And
that's cool.
Here's some comments. Here's some relatable stuff. The guy in Spring Hill's like, I'm a dad too, and I struggle with that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's like that's what we talked about. You said it best in I think it was a trailer we did. Go find your group of people and do something like this. Doesn't have to be bourbon, could be whatever, but just find a couple guys and open up a little bit.
Yeah, and like don't be afraid. Like we talked about it like in the last episode. Like sometimes it's scary to open up, but it's so fun now. Like it's become like
right. It's become important.
Yes.
Right.
We're
at 80 proof. You could definitely go neat. I don't need nearly as much water in here to like open it up. It starts open. It came in open.
Our resident bourbon expert.
It is not. It's not quite swill, but it's compared to some of the others we've had. But it is. It's a basic bitch.
It is. It's $11 basic bitch.
Yeah, it's $11.
And I think it's a Buffalo Trace product.
Interesting.
Yeah. Distilled, aged, and bottled by Buffalo Trace.
Interesting. I wonder which mash bill is. We should look that up.
Yeah, that would require some Googling on my part. It's only aged for 36 months.
Okay.
A little bit shorter aging.
We're talking about aging, and then we can get into some of the our content that we want to hit for this week. Like I was shooting some of the bottles that we have shot before. It's a fascinating experience to see when it was bottled and to think where you were on that day. So like
I've never done that.
I haven't either.
That would be like 8 years ago. I wasn't not even living in this state.
Yeah, like McKinnon, the 10-year McKinnon was bottled on January 15th, 2013. And I was like, day before my birthday. Like I just started thinking, I was like, oh, and then what was I doing in 2013? Was I dad? Like I just like, it was a fascinating experiment to do. Like most of the stuff that we've been drinking is like 5 or 8 years, but like that. And when we hit the stag finally, that's 10 years too. Like, but 37 months ago where would you been?
Not doing this.
No.
37 months ago, that's 3 years. Well, I don't know exactly what date that would have been. So 21, I probably had been working from home.
Yeah.
Hiding from COVID.
Yeah, no, hiding depending on where we were. When we were back in the pool pretty early here. But things kind of starting to get back to normal. here. We opened up here a lot earlier than everyone else did. So, we were.
You're about to hear thunder.
Yep. I saw that. You see that lightning come across?
Yep.
That was pretty interesting.
Where were you been?
It was, was living in Franklin. At that time was probably living, half in Franklin, half in Nashville. I forget what we've talked about, so I don't want to repeat myself, but,
were you working at the bar or no?
No. I had a big boy job at that point. No. It was, so divorced and my ex-wife lives, and I think I did cover that in the first, right up the block here. But, when we went through our separation, we went through several phases, and at first we were living together, but kind of as roommates, and the boys were none the wiser, and in front of them was everything fine. And we made it a point. We made a point to surround them 24/7 by love. Anyway, that was the compass, right? Yeah. But even still, we would never fight in front of them or around them. The next step we took was called nesting or bird nesting, and I never heard of it until she came to me with it. And that's where the boys always live at home, and we switched who lived with them and who didn't. We happened to have a house in Franklin and a condo in Nashville, so it worked out perfectly. And we did that for almost 3 years. And that,
oh, wow.
And from there, when we finalized our divorce, we sold both places and each bought a place down here. And that was the first time that the boys switched, and we had our own spots. And so I think doing it in stages was super helpful for them, because no single one was a huge deal. They were all lifestyle changes for them, but we did it in kind of in phases, and that helped. So we would have been right in the middle of that, because I moved here in December of 21.
Yeah, because we moved in April of 2021.
So we would have been towards the end of that nesting period, and it was certainly a challenge. I remember when we first did that, and I knew I was going to be not seeing the boys for weeks at a time. I can feel myself compensating. I would schedule work trips that I might have said no to previously, just because being 20 miles from them and not having access to them was kind of like it's not like we didn't have access, but we were trying to establish a rhythm for us and for them.
Right.
And so I remember traveling a bit more there, but also like when I was in Nashville, I'd lived there during grad school, but hadn't been down there. We'd been renting out that place for 8 years or something like that. And so I made a promise to myself, I'm going to go out to dinner somewhere different every night that I'm down there, just to reacclimate with the neighborhood. And I was walking, I'd walk everywhere. The car stayed in the garage for a week at a time. And it was cool. It was seeing it through a different lens.
How'd you say,
that's what it was.
I know this isn't where we were headed, but I just want to ask this question. How did you stay mentally healthy during that stage?
Yeah, it's some of it was distraction. Yeah. Some of it was work. I'm a kind of guy that works anyway. So I was notorious for it was an open floor plan, kind of a loft style. And so get out of bed and you literally just roll over to where my desk was and roll from there to the couch was. So, I mean, I could do no steps I wanted to. That's why I made myself get out of the house and do a lot of walking at night. But I'd put my head down. I have my routine around lunch. I'd make myself lunch, and then I'd be working, and I look up, and it's like it's 8:30. Fuck, I forgot to eat dinner. Go out and get dinner. So work was a something easy to bury into, and then from there, going on traveling for work and things like that. But it was like I said, I'm glad we did it in phases. It might have been harder for us than it was on the boys, because when she first proposed the idea, and we met with a therapist, that was a kind of a combined thing. And when the idea was 7 days on, 7 days off, I was like, are you kidding me? Like I was thinking like 2, and just keep going that way. And with some advice, not just from therapists, from other people, but it's like they need a schedule. And the worst thing you can do is confuse them and have to ask what day is today and have to be on a calendar.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so a structure like that was useful, and it gives you some momentum that you can spend a couple days in a row with them and get some momentum in there. But I was not. I didn't think that was going to be a thing. I couldn't imagine not seeing my kids for 7 years. Now it's amazing. It's a bit welcomed. I say that tongue in cheek, but after a week with them alone, you're just like, there you go, because when you're doing it together every day, you shoulder roughly half the burden. I mean, we can go the details of that, but especially when they're young, when you're their sole source of entertainment for days on end, a little breather is nice.
So how do you guys handle when it is your weekend on and your boys have gotten to a point now where you're traveling for your sports, whatever they're in? Do you guys travel together? Do you split? Does she, like, if if one kid's in Atlanta, one's in Memphis, you're like, okay, well, I know it's my weekend, but I can't be in both places. The good news, because it's gonna anyway. Go ahead.
No, it's we each have to be flexible. Right? We're no longer tied to each other in that way, but you have kids
part of each other's life,
and there's always a need on both sides to be flexible. Sometimes you feel like you're using that more often than the other one, and you try to overcompensate. Hey, I need them. I'm on a work trip, and it comes back on Thursday instead of Wednesday. I need you an extra day, and I'll take them a day before. So we try to keep it. We keep a shared calendar, and we try to keep that out about 2.5 or 3 months.
Okay.
So that we can see things going on and we can be proactive about it. But something like that comes up, and then it's some kind of agreement, right? But the good thing is, again, if they're in town and there are games, you're always allowed. If the boys, first and foremost, even when we weren't together, you want to talk to mommy during daddy's time, pick up the phone, pick up the FaceTime, no big deal, and vice versa. And the same thing goes if you want to go ride your bike to mommy's house and say hi, no big deal, right? But it's we keeping the calendar helps, keeping the structure helps, and just being open and clear about that really is the only thing you do. And it's funny, we have a really, what I think is a really cute ritual is that when there's hockey in town and we know we're both going to be there, whoever has the boys brings the boys, whoever doesn't gets coffee.
Oh,
so
okay.
like shoot me a text like, hey, what do you want from Starbucks?
Send me your order quick. And that's cool.
That. So it's just a cute little thing where, and again, I'm a huge fan of her partner, and she gets along well with Abby, and it's not been easy by any stretch. Don't think that divorce is easy by any stretch, but
100%.
It's been about as smooth as I've ever heard things going.
It's very commendable though that you're able to do that. That you're able to set aside your own petty shit to put maybe it's not petty, maybe it was huge, right?
Yeah,
it could have been, but it's hard. I can't imagine, but to be able to set that aside for the boys, because I know far more people that don't, right? That are like, well, fuck you then. I only know
been close to some that are really ugly.
Well, I mean, my upbringing was that a little bit like like my mom may or may never see this, but it's fine. But she had multiple relationships, never a healthy one. And there was one man that she spent like 9 or 10 years with, but I was always like, it was an unhealthy relationship. Like I know it was unhealthy. A lot of like infidelity on both ends. Like, and so just like, and when they broke up, it was just like, no, it was weird because for a season it was, and then there was this weird clinginess that happened after. It was just like, just not a great situation, but it was not a healthy, like what you said.
It's, I hope that if she were here doing her own little thing, she would say the same thing, right? It could be that she has he's an asshole and I'm making it work. And I keep it positive around the boys. I call her mommy, like that. Her name is mommy, right?
Right.
You're going to go to mommy's house, and it's I'm pleased with how we've handled it. We hug it out every once in a while and say, we just look at the boys. We did a great job.
Right.
And of course there are other stuff that goes on that adds a little bit of stress in there. But keep them front and center. And so all that to say, that's where I was 3 years ago.
Good. Well, I mean, there's a secondary piece to that too, because you're in another committed relationship. That new person could be like, get away from that. Yeah. I don't want to deal with your ex, blah, blah, blah. So there's multiple layers to that. That's cool.
And it's not, to some degree, it's not fair to the other ones have to, all the baggage, but it's,
right. That's again, right. You didn't, it wasn't a surprise. This is how it is coming
Eyes wide open all around. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not blind to the situation you're walking into. And if you claim to be, then let's have a conversation.
Exactly.
Or Brian's really good hiding shit.
Yeah. He just talks about it on the podcast and then goes back to Abby. And
this ain't going to come out for a little while. We're good.
We're not allowed to publish this now. That's it.
All right. I got a couple of days to figure out how I'm going to break this to her.
3 years ago for me we would have been transitioning up here, running away because Aaron's just to get a little bit vulnerable, Aaron's mom had passed away that October. And so part of us moving to Nashville was us running away from it. Like, I think I've talked to you guys about this. It's of just like, we needed a fresh start. We needed something new. We needed just to be out of the space. And so we were prepping to, I mean, when that bottle was bottled or
Born.
Sure. Or barreled, cooked.
Not barreled, because, well, yeah.
It would be barreled.
It's barreled for that long, right?
right.
Yeah, not the cooking. Yeah.
So we would have been in transition here. So it's great. You have a couple things you want to talk about.
I did. So came from a story that I recently had. I was spending some time with my swim wife. Yes, I have a swim wife. That's what my wife calls her. It's one of my daughter's best friends. Just it's her mom. We spend a lot of time together just by virtue of being at the pool.
You don't love swim moms. You love.
I love librarians.
To be clear,
all of them, just one. But anyway, both of her daughters are adopted, and we were just talking about their adoption story, and it's just interesting. It's just really interesting to me that someone that whole thing, and this is a multi-person story involved in this. So you can talk about as deep and as open as you want to be about it. I don't know how. I want to hear more about it. Again, long story short, how it came about.
Yeah.
Open, closed.
Yeah. There's no such if there is no such thing as a closed adoption anymore with technology.
Okay.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
Traditionally, our adoption with Olivia. So if you don't know, Olivia's adopted. Logan's our birth son. She's my daughter. He's my son. Mm-hmm. Make that clear.
Right.
Me and Aaron. So it's interesting because it has some background of like faith for me, but like me and Aaron struggled to get pregnant. I guess we were like 5 years in, maybe like a few. I guess it would have been 5, maybe 4. We were trying for 2 or 3 years, and we had hit a point where she was taking Clomid, which is a fertility drug. If you've struggled with infertility, you would know what that is. Just being honest, that shit makes people crazy. Like she will
definitely has that as a side effect.
Like she would have said, she would say, like we were in like probably the second round of it or whatever. She's like, I gotta stop. Like this is just not healthy for me. Like it was not healthy for our relationship. Like nothing enjoyable. So we struggled with that, and we went on a cruise, and I grew up, and so I've always had a heart for like children in need. And we were at that point where do we do in vitro? Do we spend the money to do in vitro? Do we do something else? And we were on a cruise, and we just felt like from a faith perspective, like we were being led to adopt. And so we were like, okay, let's do this. And we started. What's wild about this whole story is we made the decision in March. This sounds so weird. Adoption takes a long time, which I don't think people realize. It's like, oh, you don't decide to.
It's probably a good thing, though.
Yeah,
100%.
Right? I mean, because
on a whim,
you can go get a puppy on a whim. You don't want to go get a kid on a whim.
But you see a lot of movies, especially when we were growing up, that foster parents were like, it was just like very like. Maybe cliche a little bit of just like, oh, this random, like you hear about all these bad foster homes and all that. And this still exists and people taking paychecks from, I'm not saying that doesn't exist because there are people that are messed up in this world. But it takes about a year to go through the process. And then some, depending on your openness and I'll explain that in a minute, but like your openness to kids with special needs, kids of different ethnicities, like drug exposure, all these sorts of things kind of expands your timeline or shrinks your timeline. So we started in March. We came back from the cruise, started in April, working through a company a private adoption agency called Bethany, because as we're an advocate for private adoption because you have someone fighting for you and the child, the child has someone fighting for them too. So it's just helpful, just being honest.
By private, you mean what? What does that mean?
It means,
I guess, is there government funded ones that are public?
Foster care would be considered public.
Okay.
So private adoption would be, and you could potentially, I don't know. That's a good question on the public side. All I know from the public side is you go through foster care or you get a lawyer and an attorney. Like a public adoption would be, I know this sounds weird, but like you going to the website of foster care, Children's in Williamson County, going and seeing a few of those kids. And then your traditional orphan story in a movie would be probably public. You go to the boarding house, meet a couple of kids, or that preconceived notion, which is it's so funny to talk about this because Western society and movies it's nothing like that. But we were a private adoption, so it costs a little bit more money because they handle the lawyers you're paying. So it's expensive. It's not cheap, but it's probably about the same amount of money that people spend on in vitro. Conceptually from a cost perspective.
And is this lawyers? Or is this?
These are social workers, and the social workers are working with the lawyer. So you're not dealing with the craziness of you need to, there are laws, for instance, in South Carolina or North Carolina, where you have to post, if the father is unknown, you have to post for 7 days in the newspaper.
He's got the opportunity to.
Correct. To reach out. So the private adoption handles all of that.
Does private mean anonymous as well, or no?
No. Open. When you hear private, it's more about the structure business wise is a bad word.
Understood though.
Open and closed adoption are what most people think of do you know you're adopted or do you not? No. Okay. I'll try to speed the story up a little bit, but we basically started in April. Took 6 months to go through the class, because you have to go through 12 weeks of class, then a few weeks of home study. When a home study is when a social worker sits down with you in an office and you talk about all your baggage, then sits with your wife. She talks about her baggage, and then you come together.
Too bad we doing to this podcast
a couple of years ago. Too fucked up for your kids.
And then you talk about your baggage, and then they come visit your home and make sure it's safe.
You should do that. Every couple should do that once you find out you're pregnant. go through the same interview process. You guys are a little too fucked up.
Let's get a social worker.
Too late by then. Maybe when you start to try.
Yes.
As soon as you don't renew your birth control, somebody calls you.
Right. Immediately. The pharmacy. That's this pharmacist shop. You missed a week. I'm gonna have to turn you in.
Time to get interviewed.
But what's fascinating about our whole Olivia story is we finished in November. Yeah, we finished
cruise in March. So November. So we're 8 months.
8 months, and we just finished our home study, and we were about to get approved to be in the system. And the misconception about adoption is you go and pick the kid. That's not what happens in adoption. What happens is birth mother and birth father get books of multiple different parents that fit the profile of whatever the kid is dealing with. And then the birth parent chooses as us. So
you got elected.
Yeah.
Good.
Which what's fascinating is we got finished in March. People told us 6 to 8 months. We got finished in November. People told us 6 to 8 months to a year afterwards. We were talking about it we went to our families in Thanksgiving. We're talking about when we would get a baby, and a lot of people just put we were just excited about the process. There's just everybody gets 9 months to prepare. We were just trying to build our 9 months.
There you go.
I got you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we were excited talking about it. the following Friday, I'm on my way to a recording in Orlando, and I hopped from Charlotte to Atlanta, and Erin has called me 4 times. I pick up the phone, and she's like, "Hey, there's a potential placement." What that means is, hey, there is a scenario which our profile meets. Our book you have to submit the book to the organization and they have to look at it and approve. We hadn't even reached that stage. Like we were like in the moments of handing it. And so she's like, Angela, who was our social worker, was like, "Hey, I think you would be a great fit for this. If you can get your notebook to Asheville this weekend, we can get it approved in front of the birth mother that Monday." So Saturday, we get the call. Erin drives up to Asheville, drops our notebook off. Monday, we sit all day in angst. 6 o'clock, we get a phone call that's like, "Hey, we don't know anything about it, gender."
Has the child been born yet?
Yeah, she like the child. What we knew about on Saturday is that the child was, the child was born, was in the NICU because there was some drug exposure. And she was coming off some withdrawals. Mother was in and out of the hospital just seeing her, and she needed to make an adoption plan, which meant DSS was either going to come in, put the child, or she had to make an adoption plan.
They're just sitting there waiting.
My heart's hurting for both sides of it.
Right? No kidding.
I can only imagine.
And that's
like.
I can go into that for so many things, but
this is a long form podcast.
Long form. I do think that sometimes media and conversation weaponize birth moms in a negative light, but I cannot imagine how that's like our birth mom felt in those moments where life scenarios have caught up to her and all she wants to do is provide a great option for her child. And if you can't see the pain in that, sorry.
Yeah, I don't care what side of the fence you sit on, and politically or religiously. There's be a human and understand how hard that decision would have to be. Oh my God.
Well, and to know that, there's just so much. So we wait all day Monday. I get the phone call, and Erin always yells at this because she's like, "Why did they call you?" But I got the call. We still didn't know baby sex. We knew that the baby was white, had drug exposure, but that the birth mom had chosen us. So when most people have 9 months to prepare, we had Saturday to Monday. We met Olivia on Tuesday.
She was born where?
In northern North Carolina, like Davis, somewhere in the Hickory area. Yep. So we drove like an hour. We met Olivia on Tuesday, named her, got to meet.
You named her.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yaya, who we call her birth mom. And when you talk about your story of like, hey, you call mommy, like that is our...
important. Yeah.
It's important. Yaya is a part of Olivia's story.
It's got to be endearing. Yeah.
She is very aware of Yaya. But basically we met her on Tuesday. A Wednesday we brought her home. And what's wild about this story is, we weren't fully prepared financially for
you didn't have a nursery.
Right?
We didn't have any, and she's a preemie. And so the community that we had, I know we talk about whatever your beliefs are, I have seen when people rally around you and do it in an act of love, hands down, we had friends that helped pay substantial amounts, at least half of what our adoption fee was. We had taken out a loan to like pay, and like we were going to pay off, but they came in and did that. We had so many people just bring us clothes and food, and like, cause like I said, most people have 9 months to prepare. We had 4 days, and so, and we had
so much stuff.
Yeah.
and we had
Not only you don't buy it together.
No.
Like that's part of like,
Abby just got back from a baby shower, and I can only imagine the amount of things you transact in the registry that you just like, whoops, we need them by Monday. Holy shit.
Well, and I mean, we had groups afterwards or to throw baby showers. Like, and what's so fascinating is we had struggled with infertility for so long, and to go from 0 to 100, it was just like mind blowing as parents. And she was preemie, so she was 4 pounds 18 ounces. Like she could like
little.
Yeah, and she was like, I don't think I was that little. I was like, Olivia, you were so little.
You know your Cabbage Patch doll?
Yes.
You were smaller than that.
She talks like we show her pictures, and she's like, my eyes were so weird. And I was like, I thought they were cute then. I agree with you now. Like,
all babies are aliens. Yeah.
But yeah, like we have an open adoption. They tell you in the process of adoption that you can try to keep it closed, but there are too many stories of people finding out when they're 16 or 17, and the devastation that brings on a person.
Oh, and the spite, I can imagine.
Yeah, well, and just like
keeping secrets for that long. And
who am I? Like,
right.
Like, why wasn't I loved? And why, like when it's a part of your story, even though it's hard, it's a part of your story. Like, Olivia knows that she's adopted. She knows that like we love her dearly. Yaya was in a bad place. Like, we haven't talked about the like drug exposure that she experienced. No, but it's a goal of ours to meet this summer, actually.
Because
we're just at a stage.
Like is Olivia asking questions? Like she wants to.
She's always asked questions. And we just think it's time. Like, if to be honest, if we were still in Charlotte, we would have probably like, life's too short.
Yeah.
And like I said, Livy's very aware. But to be honest, Logan, we were going through the foster care process when we got pregnant with Slender.
That was really loud.
Wait for my kids. We were going through the foster care process when we got pregnant with Logan. So like we were still very unsure that we could get pregnant. But to be honest, one of the best things that happened to us was able to understand Livy's story a little bit more by having Logan, because we were able to say, you know how Logan's in mommy's tummy, you were in Yaya's tummy. And
it's
so
also
like
good that you guys had again, and lucky to have experienced it both ways, to show love for something that literally came for you, and be able to show that same love for something that didn't. I remember the first time I saw Quinn, and just first time I heard him, and then the first time I saw him, I was a mess, an absolute mess.
Kamale was 23-ish hours of labor. Oof. And so it started at 6 a.m. on one day and ended at 5 a.m. the next day. And so, they take her out to get her all cleaned up, take us into the room, and Christy is out. Because she's been
exhausted.
She's exhausted. It's been 23 hours. And they bring her in there and they're like, here's your daughter. And they set her on my lap and they walk out. And I was like, what the fuck did I do with this? What do you mean here? I guess I'm not supposed to drop you, right? It's not, nothing can prepare you for that. There's there's nothing. It's just like, oh my God, I'm responsible for you. Yeah. Oh shit, if I don't work, you don't eat. Yeah. Like if I don't eat, whatever. I can lose a few pounds. You got to put them on. Unreal. Yeah, that's crazy.
There's nothing better than being a dad. I'll tell you, it's a job. It's a full-time job. It's the world's hardest job, but it's the world's best job.
It's kind of starting to hit home for me now, because I got a 10th grader and I got 2 swim seasons left. That's our thing. Like that's what we've been doing forever. Now she wants to swim in college, and awesome. Like she definitely has the talent to do it. I'm not going to be driving her to meets anymore. Like I can't.
And you're not going to be able to go to every single meet.
I'm going to fucking drive. But if she's in
UCLA,
California or Pennsylvania, I can't fly every couple of days. That shit gets expensive. But
there's so many firsts and so many lasts. Like before I had kids, I would use the term, I can't wait for this movie. I had to stop doing that when I had kids. It turned into I'm looking forward to, because you don't want to wish away the last diaper was awesome.
That shit can go.
The last time we used the diaper genie, I seriously contemplated bringing it out to the back and going Office Space on that shit. With a sledgehammer and just fucking going to town on that thing.
Oh, yes.
But then I had to realize I would clean it up. So I would have gone to a field and dumped it there. But there's so many firsts. And I remember, I wish I would have done a better job putting that shit on the calendar. First this, first that. But there's still, when you have conversations and you see pictures, I totally remember that first. But the lasts are equally as devastating or exciting and devastating, right? The last time you'll drive her to school. Last time last time I walked Quinn to the bus stop, because he's in middle school, he walks himself now.
Right.
There's at every point there's firsts and lasts, and they're always something to cherish. But
I'm not looking forward to that last swim meet. I just had my last parents in PE. And that was just like, I just want to play the cone ball game one more time.
Smash these little kids in dodgeball one more time.
Them little bastards knocked my pin over and I didn't even get to win.
It is so funny how, I've heard for so long, and then we can get the second pour.
I'm ready for this pour. I chugged that first one because we're this like water now. It's proof.
Days are long, years are short, and I think I've never experienced that more than being a dad.
Oh.
Like
it feels like as I get older, it accelerates too.
I feel that probably not nearly as much as you, but we did a family vlog for a couple years, and we were watching videos with the family vlog the other day, and I'm like, this is 2 years ago. Logan was like at my hip, like he was just like
different
human being, and I'm like, and that's gone, like, and so Anyways, second pour.
Okay, let's do it. Small batch or bonded?
What's the proof on the small batch?
Small batch is 90, bonded's 100. Should we work our way up the ladder?
That's right.
Okay.
The end of the night's gonna be fun. Where do you see some of the bourbons we've tasted and are going to continue to taste? There's some good ones coming. If you have any recommendations, bring it on.
And we'll get to the rise.
We will.
We will get to the rise. Telling Stephen earlier, there's a rye out there that is very changed my opinion about ryes. Mm-hmm. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
All right. So small batch.
Still a screw top.
Still a screw top. Still a glass bottle though. 90 proof.
Thank you. We're going for heavy pours today.
Yeah, that got away on me.
Whoa.
Whoops.
Whoa, Nelly.
We got to catch up to Brian since he got the heavy pour on the last one and no ice cube.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Cheers to being a dad.
Cheers to being a dad.
Burns a little more. Similar taste profile with a little bit more burn to it. Still only like $19.
Yeah, I get a little more leather on this one.
Yeah, do too.
Leather, tobacco, like that tobacco-y flavor. So, okay. I'm relatively new to the bourbon scene. And like I've said before, I like the bourbons with a little water, ice in them to kind of open up so I can take them. And that's why I enjoy beer. And I got into be a big, giant beer nerd. But because I was a big beer nerd, I knew my stuff. Like I knew the prices I should pay. I kind of knew it. But I am blown away by the variation in prices from store to store.
Yes.
Like this benchmark was anywhere from $18 to $40, depending on what store. That's a 100% price swing. There's a Jack Daniels that's aged in an añejo bottle out there. I was like, oh, that'd be cool. The first place I saw it, $99. I'm like, fuck that. Then I saw it another place for $49. It's what the fuck? Like,
Well,
I feel like they're trying to screw people like me that don't fully understand or know their bourbon.
Well, I got a larceny bottle, whatever is really hot right now. And it was $69. And then I went to Total Wine the other day and it was $49. And I'm like, oh, cool. I wish I would have gotten the $49
$2-3. I can get that. There's markup and rent changes and whatever. But some of these are 100%, 200, 300% different.
There are some good reasons for that, whether it's a store pick or whatever.
Okay, now there are store picks that are special bottled and bond or whatever the hell that's called. And they went, they got that exact bottle they want. But
it is it's a little bit
like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, it's a little like the Wild West. It's a little who you know. My brother-in-law is really good buddies with a couple different spaces, and he'll get the inside track. And he very rarely pays higher than MSRP for a bottle of bourbon. But he's also on their Facebook groups all the time, and he knows next Saturday I'm getting a drop, so I'm going to leave half hour early at my house. I'm going to drive up to he lives in Murrysville. He drives up to Hendersonville and knows that he's going to get something good from that guy, and the guy will go behind the back shelf and get that stuff, right? But to the average consumer, the whole idea of allocation to begin with was a bunch of guys smoking cigars in Kentucky at one point saying, you know what, this year you're going to be cool.
True.
And for that reason, Blanton's, a bottle of Blanton's would have cost you $45 5 years ago.
Now it's 100.
Now you, first of all, you can't get it. And now
I was like, good luck finding it.
Yeah. You're not getting it for less than $200. And then even the stuff that was just the vanilla Blanton's is now just coveted.
There was this one of the stores that I was at when I was doing a little bourbon hunt this weekend in East Tennessee. They had the Blanton's. And I was like, oh, sweet. I'll pick it up. $300.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
They had a bottle of Pappy there. It was like $3,000.
Yeah.
Stick it. It's probably not. The worst part is I get it and be like, this is shit. $3,000 for
I think we've talked about this. I have a bottle of Blanton's and I got it for $100. I had to buy another one, so probably like $170.
Right, probably get a Wheatley or something like that.
Wheatley. I had it the other day after like having so many. I'm like, it's okay. it's fine. Like,
right.
But yeah, I've actually had Pappy once. My old neighbor, Dave O'Loughlin, love you, Dave. Hope you see this. Was the former CEO of Ingram Barge, one of the biggest movers of things in the continental U.S. And when you get up that big, people get you stuff for
you get fancy gifts, right?
So we were at for Thanksgiving one year. He always fried a turkey, and now I fry turkey every time because I fucking love.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
But we were on his driveway frying a turkey, and I think he fried his turkey. I think I bought 2 of them and fried one for us, one for whatever else. And my brother-in-law came over, and we were just shooting the shit. We were drinking whiskey all morning, and he was like, and somebody like that. He's a great dude anyway, but when you have something like that, you have to share, right? There's no way you just open up a bottle of Pappy for yourself.
In the dark watching TV. No.
And we started talking about different things, and my brother-in-law Kevin brought a couple things over and let him taste, and we were all pretty well sauced up. and he was like, just wait here. No, he didn't say wait here. He was like, come with me. And we went in the house, in the back of the cupboard, and he pulled out. I was like, because he didn't tell us what it was going to be. I was like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, hey, you want to try it? I'm like, what?
Yes, yes, please.
No, I can't. And we've talked about it, at least in one of the episodes. Not a huge wheated bourbon fan, and that's like the pinnacle of wheated bourbon. So I was almost afraid to taste it just because, like, I don't want to waste this on somebody like me. It was so fucking smooth. Oh my God. It was so smooth and several layers deep. And you sit there, and it was a mini pool. We had maybe 3/4 an ounce each. And it was great for
it
that.
Wasn't that big old fat heavy pour. What is it?
It wasn't a mega pint, right? Fucking Johnny Depp mega pint.
Yep.
But it was so smooth and just made you smile. Like, and now I can say awesome. That's a Pappy, it's great.
I've heard that if you mix red, Weller's, and is it green? Yeah, it's red and green. You get a simulation of a Pappy.
Interesting.
Like it's
like a poor man's Pappy blend or whatever they call it. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen that. Now you got to find the Wellers first.
Yeah,
I've got a green one. You've got a red one.
I got a red, but I don't got like that much left in my red. That's a good one. So apparently we got to go hunting out of state. That's the key.
That is
You can't go too far. You can't go east. North Carolina is shit.
Oh God, no.
Can't find anything.
Really?
Oh, you can't find shit.
If you guys are ever in Texas,
ABCs.
if you're ever in Texas, Weller's is like you throw a rock and you can hit a Weller's.
Really?
Like, I mean, like it's $29. Like it's
They got their own whiskey that I thought they'd be hawking down there.
Right? That's maybe why.
Yeah.
They got their own.
Yeah.
Well, and then you go to California, like go to Total Wine, you'll get Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, like Weller's.
There's
like
enough people out there to support all of those things. Yeah.
They all want wine out there.
Yeah. Which, like, next time you guys are in California.
Oh, yeah, sure. Next time I go in California, I'm going to fly out there.
Actually, Abby was there last week and she came home with, so she spent 10 years in Southern California, in Temecula, in wine. So the Napa of Southern California. Yep. And one of her, she just went for a baby shower. She married a guy whose father is a vintner out there, Marshall Stewart, who makes some really badass wines. And she brought home a handful of bourbon zins. So there's zins that are aged in bourbon barrels.
Oh,
that are fucking
interesting.
Fantastic. When it comes to red wine, I'm not a big Cabernet, big dry red wine fan. Okay. I love a nice, bold, fruity zin, and these that are aged in bourbon barrels are fucking right on.
I mean, we're Spanish wine people. Mm-hmm. Like we don't love
Tempranillos and
Haneros. It starts with a J, but it's the H. There's a Southern Belle. It's funny. It's a Spanish wine. It's called Southern Belle. But we are like hard on the Spanish wines because red wine from California gives us headaches. Like just like naturally, like
over the seas. Yeah.
Yeah, but they say it's because of pesticides or whatever. But Spanish wines are like, no, we're good.
I'm telling you, living in Spain, every wine you have in Spain is good.
So how did you end up in Spain?
Just semester abroad. So we, in college, that was a very popular thing at Wake that you do a semester abroad. And some things you just take to like it, but it didn't matter your level of Spanish. Me and two other buddies said, we want to go abroad. Where we want to go this way. Wake had a couple houses of theirs in different companies. For example, one of my buddies studied in Venice, and there's a Wake house in Venice.
Oh, okay.
Literally, it's in like 90% of pictures ever taken of Venice because it's right next to the Guggenheim along the air. So
really?
St. Mark's in the background, the Guggenheim, and it's literally the building next to it.
So you walk to campus from there then?
Like no, you stay and it's a house. They stay and they study at this house.
Oh, I assume they had like a sister college over there that
No, so that's what I'm saying. So that for in a couple different countries, Wake had their own house. Problem with that.
So it's study abroad.
But the hard part is it's taught by Wake professors, and you're taking Wake classes, which are notoriously just hard.
Okay.
Right? It's play hard. Study hard, play hard. It's kind of school. So while it'd been cool to go abroad, we didn't want to take Wake classes. So we went through a second party company called IEC, and we went to southern Spain. We just decided we're going to Spain. And at Wake you had to take up to and including a literature course.
Okay.
So if you didn't know any Spanish, you had to take 1 through 4 and then a literature course. I happened to place right into the literature course. So I only took a semester in college. And when you go there, they give you some hardcore immersive languages, but you're also living with Spanish families. Mm-hmm. So I love to eat, obviously. So you don't speak, you don't eat. I lived with a Spanish widow who was actually from Morocco, and learned very quickly how to pick it up. But the two guys I went with had varying levels of Spanish. One guy was, I'll call right in the middle, and one guy was on the bottom side. Aguilera.
Someone's got to bring that orange down.
And he struggled the entire semester there, but by the time we left, it was good. But I mean, I was immersed in it, and I had a Spanish girlfriend at the time, which was, there's a saying that translates better in Spanish, but foreigners learn better under the covers. But honestly, the majority of the Spanish, the real syntax and cadence and structure of it, I learned from the kids playing soccer in the apartment complex.
Oh yeah, right.
I would go out there and they would
learn
teach
how to
me,
talk shit.
First of all the bad words,
Yep.
how to talk shit, but also you understand the flow and pace of things because they're talking about stuff that you can readily understand. But at that point, we were taking classes at the University of Sevilla by Spanish teachers. So, but their level of difficulty was much easier to do. If you could understand this teacher, then
you're good.
It was all right. But man, it was so much fun. And while you're over there, traveling over there is like us taking a train from here to Nashville is going to a different country over there.
Right. So some of our really good friends are from Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And we always joked about it was for me to drive to my hometown in North Dakota from where they were in Amsterdam. They're like, we could be in Egypt. Or we could be in 4 different countries. We could be in Moscow from there. We could cover the entirety of Europe and then get well into Asia or into Africa from there.
Yeah, we've talked
that
about
was one thing that blew both of us away, right? Like I was like, well, it's just driving to another state. And they're like, no, you're not driving to another state. You're driving to like 9 other countries. I'm like, you drove to 9 other countries?
You need a passport.
Yeah.
That's so wild. We talked a little bit about in the last episode, just shift super hard. We talked about bullying. Like if your kid is your kid the bully? Are they not? And I think we've talked about, we've talked about this. As dads are a little bit protective. Like there's like this massive like need to protect your child, not to protect your child, to let them grow. How are you guys dealing with the hard conversations with your kids when other kids are just being a-holes?
That's something I'm doing. I'm out.
No, that's why you love school librarians.
That's why I love school librarians. No, we've discussed this both at the bus stop and around here. It's just, you have, first of all, you have to have the relationship with your kids so that you can talk to them.
So true.
And if they don't feel like you're a safe place, are you the bully? Like that's really, first rule. And then after that, it's as a kid, it's hard. And if you go back to when you were a kid, it's hard to see a bully as anything but a bully. But most bullies are bullies because they were bullied or they're being bullied. And so that doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
Right. But we are so busy as a family that it's easy. I don't want to say it's easy to just not think about it, but it's easy to pull away from the bully instead of go towards it. Like,
what do you mean by that?
So, get a bully at school. The school is big. Play with a different kid.
Yeah.
This kid's an asshole. I know he's the cool kid, right? And you want to be in the cool kid group. You don't have to be in the cool kid group. Let's just you don't, because I think a lot of people have this misconception that the bully is the kid that punches you at the playground. Well, punch him back, knock him out. You can fight. Go ahead and have a fight. And I've always told my kids, if you get in a fight and you started it, you're dead. But if you get in a fight because someone else got in a fight with you, okay, I got your back. You're going to get in trouble at school. You're not going to get in trouble at home. We'll be good. But how about you just remove yourself from the situation? You don't have to sit there until you develop those skills to deal with them, right? Most third graders, fourth graders, fifth graders don't have the skills to verbally go back at a bully. Most seniors in high school don't have the verbal skills to go back and deal with a bully. So it's been a lot of let's just step away. Now, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's the kid across the street. And then that kid's not allowed in my house. Period. Then I can be in control. Yeah. So, and then I always give my kids the permission to make me the dick. Oh, my dad said I can't play. My dad said that you can, anytime you want to make me the bad guy, do it. If you have to get out of a situation, say my dad said I can't do it. He'll take away I don't make up whatever you want. I'll be grounded for a month. I'll lose my internet. I don't make me the bad guy. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's one strategy, I guess.
No, I love that. Actually, I didn't realize you talk about it, making you the safe space. And that's part of making you the safe space is like understanding
because some kids don't have, like I said, a lot of kids don't have the verbal skills to handle the bully, but they maybe don't even have the emotional skills to handle the bully either. And so if they can push the blame onto me as a way to get themselves out of it until they can get that skills, do it. Yeah. What are the parents going to come at me and say my kids, I've learned those skills? That's fine. They can come knock on my door. It's okay. We can have that conversation as adults. That's fine. But, hopefully it doesn't get to the point where we're getting into fist fights. Now,
and again, that's not the most detrimental one anyway. It's the one that makes you want to go home and kill yourself.
Correct.
Because they berated you in front of people and they're doing it on social media.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Is the social media side.
So then you do get the social media stuff. I do. I have probably caved on the social media earlier than I would like. I do monitor their social media as much as I can. But I'd like to think that I have an open enough relationship with my kids to where if things are going sideways, that they talk to me. But I can't be, just sit here and say, "Oh, it doesn't happen to my kids." No, that's bullshit. Because there is things they're going to hide from me just because they're kids and they're ashamed or whatever. So just trying to, and maybe it is your brother or your sister because they're an aunt and uncle. That has to be the person that has that relationship. I would like to think that I have a good enough relationship with both my brother-in-law, both my brother-in-laws and my sister, and my kids would have that to be like, hey, I don't want to talk to my mom about this. I want to talk to you about this. I want to. So,
yeah, and one thing is also teaching them to identify it. Rule number one in my household is don't be an asshole, and I know I pull that out when I see one literally picking on the other, right?
Yep.
Where you're doing something just to be an asshole. And so if you can identify that in yourself, then you can identify that out there. Is that guy being an asshole, right? Is he just being super confident and you can't handle that? That's not being bullied, right?
Right.
That guy just beats you at something and he's talking smack. I think how to do that.
I think the term bully's been hijacked.
Sure.
True.
Right? Like there's things, no, he's being a dick.
Yeah.
He's not being a bully. He's just being a dick.
Yeah.
Or, no, he's just better than you. He's faster.
Yeah.
He rubbed it in a little at the end.
That's
He was
right.
kind of a jackass, but that's not being a bully. So identifying it is a big thing. Yeah. That's a real big thing.
Well, you hit hit kind of a chord there in the sense of bullying sometimes comes down to intent, and we don't know the intent of other human beings. And so there's a level of it that, hey, they just might be having a bad day. Sure. Now, if there's patterns and repeat patterns, yes, you're not a freaking, you're not the road for, or you're not there to get bulldozed. I was in that sense. You have to have an understanding of that. But sometimes people have bad days and they just talk to you poorly, but also, it's just, we have oversimplified the whole scenario of they've had a bad day. They're talking shit about you, that they're a bully. No.
Well, and then you watch The Simpsons. No, that's not what a bully is anymore, right? It's not the kid that punches you.
Right.
And the trap that my kids have fallen into the trap that kids can fall into frequently is trying to be cool, trying to be accepted.
Yeah.
So sometimes you are on the receiving end of being bullied because someone else is trying to be cool by their other groups. Not because they're necessarily picking on you. You were just the target that they felt they needed to take out.
They're looking for followers.
They're exactly looking for followers. Yeah. And again, that comes down to identification. Well, why did he or she do that? You don't need to be a part of that. Your school is too big. We have the luxury of being at a big school, which, it's sometimes nice to be at a small school. Sometimes it's nice to be anonymous. You can sneak away and get away from that stuff, right?
It's fascinating to hear you say that because Livy, there was another girl that's adopted in her class last year and basically was starting a rumor that Livy was lying about her being adopted because she didn't want to know other people, or she didn't want people to know that she was adopted. And so I'm like, hey, Olivia, Olivia came home massively hurt by it. I'm like, hey, Olivia, she's like, she keeps telling me that I'm lying. And I'm like, do you know it's true?
Yep.
Yes. Does daddy know it's true? Yes. Does it matter that anybody else knows that it's true?
No.
That is a hard.
Learning to not care is.
I know.
Brush it off. It's not, like I said, it takes an emotional level. It takes a confidence level in whatever it is.
Yeah.
To say, doesn't matter, but you see it all the time.
Yeah. Well,
and the reason I bring it back to sports, the reason you celebrate It's because you want someone to see that you scored.
True.
Right.
Right. And the good thing about, so my oldest just doesn't celebrate. He's just even keeled. My youngest wants to celebrate. At their age group, it's a running play. So as soon as you score, they take the puck out of the net and the other team goes. It's not a new face-off or anything like that.
Oh.
So you celebrate, you're caught behind, they score on you. And it's a great life lesson.
Get your ass back.
So you can give it a yeah or give your guy a hug, but you better turn the fuck around and play defense, right? And I love that about them because he's the kind of guy that would go and fucking showboat. And
have a whole dance in 10 minutes and he's doing the paddle in the canoe with his stick.
It's fun to watch them score and it's fun to watch them do that, but it's a good life lessons to not do that. But the idea is you want to be seen, you want that gratification, and it takes a certain confidence and maturity to not care if someone's watching.
Right.
And I know the majority of adults can't get there.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
And most I struggle with
like adults would like do a podcast because they want to be seen and shit, you know.
I don't know who that would be. Fucking influencers.
Oh my God.
Repeat. I don't care if you watch or not. We're doing this anyway.
But I do check all the likes every time. Every time.
How come his reel got more views than my reel?
Right. No, but like that is a really, really, really difficult lesson for that I'm really trying to drive into some of my kids. I don't want them to think that no one gives a shit. But nobody gives a shit about that. Mm-hmm. They care about you. They care about, are you out there to achieve or win? But they don't care that you got beat and you lost by 1 goal. But they scored 9 goals. They didn't lose because you let that goal in. There was 9 goals that happened, right? Mm-hmm. And it's easy to get caught up in, everyone was looking at me. No, they weren't. They just weren't.
No, it's a good life lesson. Nobody cares about your shit. They care about their own shit.
Yeah, very much so.
Small anecdote. I did. There's a professor at Wake Forest who reached out to me after the fact. We met room, and once a year I get invited to talk to some postdocs who are ready to go into the real world. And it's basically some of it's resume grooming, some of it's just building your pitch. And I go in there and I lead with that, saying, listen. You are the least qualified person for whatever job you're about to apply to. Because anybody who's been in the industry has more industry knowledge. Right. They don't have to learn all that stuff. Doesn't mean you're not the most qualified, but you are the least useful to an employer right now. Right. That's okay. And you might have done, everybody comes and pitches all the work they've done in their postdoc as their pitch to a potential employer. I'm like, listen, nobody cares about your shit. They care about their own shit.
So and how are you going to help their shit?
Find a way to align what you do well with their shit, and that's how you get a job.
Yep. Very much so.
Great advice.
It's super hard for somebody to do it because you just spent the last 10 years of your life running a lab, doing cutting edge research on this, that, or the other thing.
And you dedicated your life to it.
That's right.
It wasn't something you kind of did here and there. It was
your full-time job.
That was it.
You mentored other people, and you want to go tell somebody about that to impress them. Guess what? That's super impressive. You stay over here. I'm going to hire this guy from within because I don't have to teach him all the other shit. Like you don't have to, you don't know how to manage incoming calls and an inbox.
Right. Well, you've never dealt with our inventory system and I don't want to train it to you.
Exactly right. But that doesn't mean you're not the best person for that job.
Right.
But find a way to align what you do well with what they need. And that's how you get success.
So true.
And teaching that from a young age. Again, you tell a story. We come to this podcast. If I'm telling you a story that you can't relate to at all, you sit there like, all right, my turn to talk next, right? You find something to contribute to a conversation or a relationship or a profession that matters to the other person, and that's how you connect and get somewhere.
Well, what you said there is so true in the sense of like, if you're struggling to find relationships, maybe like there's a level that you need to talk or take a step back and be like, is the conversation all about like what I bring to the table versus like,
that's the whole philosophy of the How to Win Friends and Influence People book. Don't talk about you, talk about them. Mm-hmm. That's it. 100%. That's like, it's a whole book on just ask them a question about them and you're in. That could be, that whole book could be one sentence. Ask them about them. That's it.
It's so true. Yet people like struggle with it day in and day out.
And let alone children. You're trying to teach this lesson to a kid and saying, listen, be humble, ask questions, and it's not always about you. And while we as an adult community can't do the same thing, and it's hard to teach them. Well, you can do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. You can say all you want. So you show. It don't work.
Well, and you have more experience than us in this, especially in the social media age where it's like, if I show out and do this one thing or I make this cool video, my phone's telling me to go to bed.
Very nice.
I get a like, therefore people see me. But in all reality, is somebody might have accidentally hit the like button as they go by. Like
almost all of our views.
Or getting your self-worth from
100%.
Like the conversation we had this morning at the bus stop. How many likes you get in your video, Dad? Or how many views you had? Oh, 300. He's like, I had 5,000. One of his clips that they put up, he had like 5,000 views. He was going, it's going viral. He's going nuts. But like, he's like, I had more than you. I was like, fuck you, little bastard.
How many comments you get?
He had no comments. He had views and likes. I had comments. Suck it.
But it's so fascinating because as like,
I love like really talking shit to kids now with bad words. Right? Suck it, dude. What that? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what that means. But
right?
Oh, triple D. What's so funny is our kids live in that so much more.
Man, oof. Yes. I mean, I don't have any good advice for that other than really, really trying to externally validate their life and not their fake. So, perfect example. And maybe this is this is going to sound shitty. Maybe this is a good thing that our kids are growing up with social media, with parents who are savvy enough to also use social media, right? Yeah. So my kids can look at a filtered picture of a woman that they know, or a man, or anyone that they know, and then see them in real life and be like, whoa, what the fuck? Right? So like in real time, they can see like, oh, wait a minute, that's not real. That's filtered. So maybe it's not great, let's be honest, but maybe it's not as bad as we're making it out to be, because they get to see that, oh, this is the highlights of the best days of their life. And then they took this filter on Snapchat and got rid of every wrinkle they have, right? Like, they don't really look like that, you know?
So they're learning the world. They're going to learn the world.
They're learning it really fast.
And they're going to see what's true and what's not. It's harder for us to see because we realize we've heard people talk for long enough to know what's right and what's wrong, right? They haven't seen that, right? So they're a bit confused now about what a computer might say. I mean, they're all passing the Turing test now anyway. You can really fool somebody in lots visually and with words. Yeah. And there's something to be said for
this podcast is AI.
That's right.
We don't exist, actually. But however, I have to say my kids can watch a video and very quickly that's AI.
Yep.
Now that'll change.
Not with Sora. Like Sora just released Ace and I work in the video profession.
Well, like the sad part is a bunch of the boomers can see those jib jab videos. I'd be like, oh, he really said that. His head moved it's separated from his body. No, he didn't say that. Best one I saw it today, the big outage, right? The AT&T outage. There's a fake AT&T video going around. We're a giant Christian company, and if you had porn on your phone, we shut it down for the day, and we're kicking you off.
As a general life lesson.
But I had so many people like, congratulations, AT&T. Wait, no, you fucking idiot. That was a joke. They were on a short. Your phone was out, not because you had porn on it, because they were down, dipshit. But like, how many people can't tell? Yeah. So like this Sora Sora, right? Yep. I haven't seen it, but when it starts looking good, we're in a big. It's
there. Yeah. Like it's not in public beta. It's in private beta, and everybody's been talking about it the last week because as the photorealism is there. Like, and so everybody's trying to figure out like how do we keep in business now. I have theories and thoughts on the video side, which is not what this podcast is about. But like. We're entering a new age where your kids and my kids are going to be, our kids are going to be fighting for jobs that are all about efficiency, which to be honest, I don't know how long that's going to last because I think brands are going to slowly die because I think we'll efficient the hell out of a system and a flow to where no one wants to use that system anymore. Like we have lost.
There's a limit on efficiency.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, and
we've gone through it several generations in a row.
Yeah.
Right.
People are like, oh, computers are going to kill the world. Internet's going to kill the world.
Yeah.
There's no job left. Yeah. You just hopefully get more enriching jobs that are actually require some creativity and things that they can't do. But
and
not to say it's not a real threat.
No, 100%.
There is an existential threat.
It's a threat to what we know today.
That's right.
But that's never been that's not a bad thing. In the sense of
the assembly line was a threat to the carriage industry.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I also think that, I mean, even when your kids can spot a fake, I think maybe this is going to take us down a rabbit hole.
Do it. Come on, Alice.
I think consumers are done with people making subpar brands so that they can make money for someone else. Also, like in the sense of,
I'm going to push back on that.
There'll always be a fake Louis Vuitton
because Temu is huge. Shein is huge, and that's crap.
I don't think it's. I agree with you. Temu, Shimu, yeah. That is instant gratification for what they is. But I think as an employee structure, I think people are done with, you are cutting down wages for so long. And I think brands are slowly dying and have to, great example. We freaking love Disney. You guys know we love Disney. But if they don't shift what they're doing in the next 5 years, they're going to lose a lot of market share because they're not making good movies anymore. They're not
it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They haven't come up with anything new in a while.
Well, and they're doing things that work and they're making cuts or making decisions for short-term gains that are not long-term.
Okay. So we have gone the shareholder model, right?
Yeah.
We got to pay our shareholders this quarter. Fuck 5 years from now.
Correct.
It's this quarter, this quarter, this quarter.
Correct.
Which is screwing us 5 quarters down the road. Yeah. Oh no. I agree with you on that.
And I think our kids are going our kids are going to be the people that figure out how to break that system.
Man, I hope so.
I hope so because I just don't. Yeah.
There's only so much profit you can push out of a quarter to keep pushing it up to make bad decisions for the future because it's a quote good decision today because you have this fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders. Hot take. So what's wrong with American medicine? It's for profit. We got to make profits today. Well, fuck the outcomes. We made profits. We got to pay our shareholders today. The insurance company, we got to pay our shareholders today. PBMs, we got to pay. We don't care what you have to pay for drugs as long as I can pay our shareholders today.
Or what good medicine is for that matter.
Exactly. Pour 3. Are we ready?
Do it.
I'm just gonna go right on top of this one.
Yeah, I am too.
You don't got to clean it.
Yeah. I mean, we're already pour 3. We don't usually change ice cubes at pour 3.
I'll keep this one light.
I will tell you, I've drinking a lot of coconut water
which is this now?
This is the bonded. This is the 100 proof.
I've drinking a lot of coconut water so I could stay hydrated today.
My daughter bought me a big Nalgene bottle for Christmas, so I guess a 1.5 liter. I've been chugging water all day long. This is coming.
You don't have a Stanley? Nalgene? That's so 90s.
It's it was like college. It works for my stickers for me.
Yeah,
that's my Nalgene. Now she's got a Stanley. I got the Nalgene. She bought it for me.
We have Nalgenes and Stanley. So what does that make us?
That just leapfrogged the Yeti. Somehow the Yeti got lost to the wind. Everybody had a Yeti for a little while.
Maybe it's the third glass, but all I taste is the alcohol in this.
That 100 proof is a little bit stingy.
It's like you have introduced us to the world of good 100 proofs and plus. We have lately have not been drinking anything sub 100. And this one,
other than these, I haven't bought anything sub 100. If it's under 100, I'm like, next. I don't even look at it anymore.
Fucking pansies. I'm actually looking over there at all the ones we've done, and yeah, Nika is less. That tequila is less.
But Nika was the first Irish one.
But the tequila was a tequila.
Yeah.
Tequila. We'll
get to that. Don't worry. You'll figure it out in the future.
Maybe we might have to go back.
Maybe we got to pour it again
after the third pour. I can tell you, we may or may not have had server issues today, and so we
may or may not have lost 6 episodes.
I don't think 6 episodes, but at least potentially 2 to 3.
Not worried about it.
Nah,
still gonna come do it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. We lost the whole first season.
Well, I think we've talked about this multiple times. I think
the people don't know that.
No,
we've talked about it multiple times.
Well, we also I don't know. I enjoy hanging out. Like I think
100%.
We've talked about this a couple times. And you'll probably hear this a couple times. It's just like I think being a male in today's society. I think being an adult. Let me rephrase that. Yep. Being an adult and finding friends. I didn't know women were going to
watch this anyway.
I don't know. You never know.
My wife ain't watching it. My sister watched it. My sis.
My wife watched it just so she could get her view count up. She's like, I'm just going to turn it on in the background.
Hey, whatever works.
Whatever works. But I do think it's hard. I think it's so vital that we have community and friendships. And I feel like we live in a day and an age where we go to work, we have work friends that are very surface level. And if we ever leave that job, we lose probably 95%. I would say 99% of those people.
Yeah.
And then we go build old. And I think I've told you guys, I'm going to counseling. If you don't go to counseling, great. It's been awesome for me. But one of the things the counselor said in this last session was, it's so fascinating to see how transient our generation is, like from job to job to job, place to place.
I would say more than job to job, like state to state to state. Sure. And we move more than any generation ever.
100%. And he says that to truly build community, the research shows that it takes 3 to 5 years to actually build solid community in any
To be completely honest, I'm surprised the number is that small. Yeah. I would have guessed more like 8 to 10. But so backing up a little bit, bus stop dads, front porch bourbon dads. Bus stop is very how's the weather?
Yep.
Front porch is like, where'd you grow up? If you don't make a conscious effort to talk about something deeper, you will never talk about something deeper. Like just sitting in the front porch, we probably would have maybe got into a little, maybe would have cracked, got a little bit deeper.
What concerts have you gone to? And
what's
the coolest concert? Yeah. I remember we've had that conversation.
But I mean, you don't have to have a podcast about it.
Agreed.
But you do need to have a therapy group about it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to record it, but just a group of friends that you decide, hey, and maybe you need to say it. Do you guys want to be like my deep friends? Because it doesn't organically happen.
And it's hard to say that without this in your hand. Let's be real, as dudes.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that without this in your hand.
It is. I mean, I know a fair number of people that don't drink anymore, but you got to make that effort yourself. But as a guy in modern society, you're not supposed to talk about this shit. You're not supposed to talk about feelings. You're not supposed to have them, or you're woke, or you're a pussy, or you're not a man, or whatever. And so, I mean, you may have to come out and say, "Hey, we hang out. Do we want to do this deeper?" Because I can guarantee you, most guys will be like, "Yeah, I kind of want that," but no one wants to say it, right? And so it is really nice to let's do deep dive. And I think I don't know, maybe it's a girl thing. I think I'm going to generalize and say women are better at that. My wife is for sure. I don't know if that extrapolates across.
I think they're better at both. They're better at being more superficial with more superficial friends. And
they're better at finding that group without speaking about it. Right. Yeah.
But let's be real. Both from a dude and a dad standpoint, it's much easier to be complacent and lazy and mail it in.
Yeah.
You can go through your day as a dad.
You can mail it in every day.
That's what I'm saying. You can mail it as a dad and not have the hard just say, we're not talking about today. Or yeah, there's a life lesson to be had here, but I don't feel like digging in with you right now. I'd rather just watch the ball game or something like that. Same thing with dudes. It's much easier to say, yeah, how's the weather at the bus stop and say, smell you later, right? You do want more than that. You should do more than that as a father. It takes some effort. And we talking a little bit about the generation above us. The challenge isn't any different. I just don't think in the generation above us, they took that effort seriously. Their job was to put food on the table and do things out of necessity. And while it's still our job, our role hasn't changed. We still have to provide.
Well, let's go back to your conversation just a second ago. Our generation is much more transient. So maybe the generation above us had their kindergarten friends that they've been friends with for 40 years, 50, 60 years.
Grade school. Do you guys call it grade school? My dad calls it. I was with them from grade school.
Yeah.
Or grammar school.
It was
fuck is grammar school.
It was always, for me, we've been together since kindergarten. Right. And so you didn't necessarily have to speak about your challenges because you went through them together.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe they didn't speak about it, but they maybe didn't have to as much. But as you move and you don't have your kindergarten friends anymore, you moved in here 3 years ago. You moved in here 3 years ago. That bottle was born when we met. Right. And so like that bottle is our baby. If you want to think about it that way, but like, so maybe you do need to be more deliberate about it. And
that takes effort.
It takes effort, and you're going to get rejected. Somebody's going to tell you to fuck off. And then a lot of people be like, all right, you're right. That was dumb because culture and society has told me I shouldn't do that. And I tried to do that and I got shot down. Just keep doing it. You're going to find people that want to be your people.
Well, and just being honest, like we had an established relationship for 3 years before we even broached any of this conversation.
Which is why I thought it would be longer. Right. Like if your wife hadn't said, let's do a podcast, would we be doing this right now?
100% not.
No.
We're exceptional men though. So
there is that.
Of course we beat.
Cheers to that shit. That's right.
We beat the national average by a year and a half.
What was fascinating is a woman had to tell us to do it.
God damn it.
Can you cut that out, please?
Cut that out. No. You edit that shit out.
I'm not doing it.
We don't listen to women. He-Man Woman Haters Club.
It is.
No, but it is.
No, but really, I love it. Yeah. It is therapeutic and let's be honest, we've had some fairly deep conversations, at least get to know you conversations. Yeah. We haven't fortunately been super polar opposites to where like we quit the podcast.
Yeah.
Right. To like,
we need some of those. We need some of those topics.
We need a break. Right.
Yeah. Guns, no guns. Abortion, no abortion. Like, let's really deal with the hard shit.
That shit's in the comments.
Yeah.
We're gonna lose viewers over that.
Oh my God, we've lost all the Disney viewers and AT&T viewers. Yeah.
My wife is on a Disney cruise right now, so that's why we're doing it at my dining room table. So that tells you our family,
right?
It is just so fascinating. I don't know. I don't know why we don't have. Maybe it is the generation before us. Maybe it's the social media side. Maybe it's the work side, because as vulnerability equals weakness, it's just so fascinating to me how the men in our society don't have friends.
Well,
or don't have deep friendships.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's because every movie, every cultural norm tells us we're not supposed to. There's a reason why white males over 40 are the highest demographic for suicide. Mm. You don't get those friends. You don't have those connections.
Dang.
We also have access to the best drugs. So that kind of...
we do have access to really good drugs.
No, but it's funny. If you ever played golf with somebody, you're spending 5 hours with somebody and you go home and you talk to your wife or something like that. What you guys talk about? Like, I have no idea.
Nothing.
We talked about golf and
like I'll come home. That exact scenario happened. What'd you guys talk about? Nothing. Bullshit. What'd you talk? You're lying to me. No,
really.
No, really. We didn't talk about shit.
Nothing
it was
really
the weather, high school, what sports we played, what concerts we went to.
How awesome we were in high school sports.
Well, I know, right? How I was the hero
watch tape?
of.
That reminds me.
I scored 6 touchdowns in the city championship.
Who's the guy in
Couples Retreat? John Favreau.
I was thinking Napoleon Dynamite, Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico. I could throw this football over that mountain. I thought you were going to talk about Al Bundy.
Oh no!
When he was the four touchdowns in the city championship.
Oh my god, I love that.
But I mean,
I did rock in high school. Do you want to see tape? No, I don't want to watch tape.
No,
but this is. I think what we're doing is definitely outside the norm, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was outside of the norm for us.
We was outside of the norm, and I think that's where some of the love online has come from. Is like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
You can do this, and like find your people, find your podcast.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, just dedicate some time, find some people, try a little harder than the weather's awesome right now, and dedicate some time for yourself, and you'll find that you'll find more commonality than you may have thought. Right, very different backgrounds here, very different demographics we came from, and you find something. Whether it's bourbon or being a dad, and find something else. Whatever.
Yeah, maybe it's water. Maybe you enjoy really fancy sparkling waters.
Glacier water.
Iceland.
Pure Fiji water.
We're losing it.
Water sucks. It really sucks.
You definitely need to listen to the end of all of our podcasts, because that's when the conversations are real. They start. I mean, let's be okay. But I mean, like, even at the beginning, we all start out a little bit superficial, reserved, and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper as we get.
Your name is Needle Dick.
As we get deeper, it gets silly too. But like, however you have to have it, however you have to get that done, get it done. Just find the people and get it done. And
stop complaining about it when you don't, or like you're sitting up in your room and you're like, man, I wish I had some friends. Go freaking find some friends.
It's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. And
usually have to find something, like I have to find a card game, or I have to find a golf group or something like that.
Right.
At least it's commonality. That's fine too. But I promise you, if you sincerely ask somebody who's a low to medium level friend of yours, something a little deeper than that, more often than not, they're looking for the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, and it usually starts with the words, hey, I'm struggling with having this conversation. Hey, can you, do you have any insight on this?
Ask a question. I'm a fan of asking questions.
So how many people did you ask to be on this podcast?
2.
How many people said yes?
2 for 2.
There you go. 2 for 2. 2 for 2.
You're just awesome. You're just that awesome.
No,
I think that speaks to the willingness of other guys. Like we were waiting for someone else. Yeah. I didn't want to ask anyone on a date. I wanted to be asked on a date. Thank you.
Real ticklish and insecure. But it's fascinating because as we talked about it, you had fears about it afterwards.
Terrified. At first I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh, fuck that. Yeah. What did I do? What did I commit to?
What am I going to say? It's funny. When you talk about the same thing with dating, right? There was a TED Talk where the chief analytical officer for Match.com came on and said, and the host said, what's the secret sauce? Like, you clearly chunked the numbers. What's the secret sauce? And they said something along the lines of, go on 10 to 15 first dates and say no to a second date to all of them. On the 16th time, the next person you find that you like, snag them. So at that point, you put all your feelers out, you know what you like and don't like, and you've cut down the barrier of, is this going to, like, the double dutch of going in and out and in and out. And so I feel like we've had enough social interactions in our life.
True.
When you find someone that you think you might connect with, odds are you're right.
Yeah, 100%.
Go get it. At that point, go get it.
Right.
It's non-committal.
Yeah, there's other people at the bus stop I wasn't doing this with. Just kidding.
Just kidding at the bus stop, but in my life, for sure.
Yeah.
There are some people that I would say thanks, but no thanks, or I'd make up an excuse, or my dad, blame it on my dad. My dad can be the bad guy.
My dad said I can't do it anymore.
But no. But at that point, you've had enough social interactions. You know the kind of people that you would get along with and could probably have the next step with. Just find one and ask them. You don't have to go out new and go to the grocery store and be like, hey, you look like a cool guy. Let me have five. No, there's no need for that right now.
Did you imagine?
You know enough people.
Look at that cabbage. It's a good head of cabbage.
You want to be on a podcast with me?
Don't you think cucumbers are sensuous? Animal House reference. No, but you don't have to. The thing is, you don't have to go out and find somebody new. Odds are you have somebody in your circle that you could probably take that next level with that you just don't.
Or if you don't have a circle, find one.
But I'm saying, everybody has a social of someone they interact with in a given month. You see more than one person more than once per week.
Okay.
And so of those people, you have a sense of maybe, definitely not, and find one of the ones that's a maybe and dive deeper, and they're probably looking for the same thing.
I think it's work, Eric, and it's like, it's work, but I think it's worth it in that regards. Like it totally is.
This is a podcast about being dads. The same goes for being dad.
Yeah.
It's work, but it's absolutely worth it to have that slightly better relationship with your kids. To make it a little bit easier to talk about this or that. Of course it's work. Of course it's much easier saying, man, go watch your phone. I'm watching the game or whatever it is. Of course it's easier to do that, but
that hits.
The way it comes back to you, the more gratifying. And it's hard to be selfish about it, right? You don't want to be a good dad because it's more rewarding for you, but it is. The closer you can get with your kids, the more rewarding 100%. It is for you.
Yeah. There is a sense of like, I'm doing this for me as well as for you, and it's okay. It's okay that it's for both.
Yeah,
it is.
But there is definitely like, the balance, you know what I mean? Like you're like, oh, like I'm making decisions based off of both of us. I don't know. Yeah, I agree.
It's not a selfish act. I mean, listen, it's your responsibility to some degree. Again, it's the hardest job in the world, but it's the best job.
Yep.
Just take some time, put a little effort in, do something for yourself, do something for them. And
so it can be the hardest job in the world. It can also be a really easy job.
You could mail it in. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but like sometimes you just gotta show up. But like
they love you no matter what. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, like, you don't have to be their coach. You don't have to be on the field coaching them or training them. You just gotta go to the game.
Yep.
It's not hard to go watch and cheer. You don't got to be the asshole dad that yells. You just stand there and watch. You don't even got to say anything. So, is that hard? No, just be there.
Yeah,
just be there. That was.
It's great.
I mean, that was one thing my parents always did. They were always there.
Yep, support.
Always like
unspoken support.
Yep,
Yeah.
They never missed a game. And that's the philosophy I've always taken. Don't miss a game.
Yeah, it's good. What should the people do, Nate? You are
like, subscribe, comment, give us love, give us hate. If you give us hate, we're gonna talk shit about you.
I would love for you to talk shit. I know I'm talking to all my boys. They talk shit directly to me via text message. Put it in the comments. Let's talk shit publicly. I fucking love that. And
it helps the algorithm, I'm sure.
Yeah. Again, watch or don't. We're doing this no matter what. Take something from it, and if you want to be a part of it, then participate. If not, then change the fucking channel. Like there's so much out there for you. But I think we're giving good advice, and I hate to talk down to you as if being a patronizing, condescending cocksucker that I am. But take something from it and go find some people and open up a little bit, because it's super rewarding, and you're missing out if you don't.
Yeah,
100%.
I think I will tell you that I lived in a lonely place in Nashville, and I finally feel like even in our neighborhood, like we had interactions and it was fun, but I was like, man, like I'll go play with my friends online, but like it was kind of lonely. And now having this, I'm like, oh great. Like I know that anything that would happen here, I'm like, hey, Nate, Brian, like I need your help. Like you know what I mean? Like there's community in that. So
and you even sharing the good. Something cool happens, I text you guys.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I think even my wife has seen, because I tell her we're recording tonight. She's like, okay, have fun. Yeah. It's never like, again.
I gotta take care of the kids.
Like, I gotta do this. It's always like, she has recognized how important it is to me. And she has been like, okay, see you. Have fun.
She even got you a shirt.
She got me a shirt. That's right.
Well, and I mean, I think it goes back, and as we close, and you've said it, I'll just repeat it, is it takes effort. Like it takes effort to be a dad. It takes effort to be a good friend. It takes effort to be a good human being. Like sometimes it's just worth the effort.
Yeah. And it's not a lot of effort.
No.
It's more the vulnerability and okay, I'm going to get rejected. Cause the worst thing I could have said to you that day was like,
no, I'm good.
No, I'm good. And then you just ask somebody else.
Yeah.
Or you don't do it.
Yeah.
But then we're not here.
Yeah.
You know, we're not.
I'm glad we are.
I'm very, very glad we are. Water.
You don't cheers to water. It's bad juju.
I don't have anything else. You poured yourself a fourth.
Poured myself a little. Pour.
I'm done. Till the next time.
Smell you.
Later.
Smell you later.